China prepares for war, massive military buildup spotted. Everything seems to be escalating. China's military modernization, large exercises, infrastructure expansion, weapon systems. Signs everywhere point to a force getting ready for something much bigger. In today's video, we'll unpack what exactly China is building up, why, what triggers may have pushed this, who's concerned, what risks are emerging, and what this all might mean for regional and global stability. China has raised its defense budget again. For 2025, Beijing allocated roughly $1.78 trillion, about $245-250 billion to its military, a 7.2% increase over the previous year. AP News +1. This isn't just because of inflation or routine upgrades. Many analysts see this as part of a deliberate acceleration toward military readiness. New weapons, more missile silos, advanced naval projects, and increasing frequency of drills all make it clear China's security leadership is shifting toward preparing for possible high-intensity conflict. The Wall Street Journal +4, Telegraph +4, IntelliNews +4. One of the biggest changes is in China's naval power. The Chinese Navy is now among the largest in terms of number of vessels. IntelliNews +2, Malaysia Sun +2. There are several aircraft carriers, Liaoning, Shandong, and a new domestically built carrier, Fujian, is undergoing sea trials. Malaysia Sun +1. Then there are the amphibious assault ships, modern frigates, upgraded destroyers, and underwater assets, including advanced conventional submarines and nuclear-powered submarine projects. IntelliNews +2, The Wall Street Journal +2. These all point toward a navy not just used for show, but capable of projecting sustained power, especially in contested seas. Missiles and nuclear forces are another major part of the picture. China has launched a series of missile silo fields, is developing hypersonic weapons, has significantly expanded its intermediate and long-range strike capabilities, and appears determined to expand its nuclear warhead inventory to possibly 1,000 warheads by 2030. Fox News +3, Telegraph +3, Wikipedia +3. These are not small steps. They represent China wanting credible deterrent and strike options not just regionally, but globally. Another dimension is infrastructure and readiness. China has reorganized its military command structure, including its theater commands, put more resources into Joint Operations Army, Navy Air Force together, improved logistics, built dual-use infrastructure roads, airfields, bases especially in border regions. Al Jazeera +2, IntelliNews +2. Some of these are intended to support rapid troop deployment and surge capacity, especially around critical zones like the Taiwan Strait, South China Sea, the line of actual control (LAC) with India. IntelliNews +2, Al Jazeera +2. Recently, China, Russia, and Mongolia carried out joint border defense drills, or Border Defense Cooperation 2025. These illustrate closer military coordination in the region, potential for combined operations, and signal to neighbors that China is strengthening its alliances, or at least its military partnerships. Reuters on the technology front, China is investing aggressively in unmanned systems, drones both aerial and undersea, autonomous and semi-autonomous platforms, AI, satellite constellations, and enhancement of electronic warfare and cyber tools. Business Insider +3, IntelliNews +3, Malaysia Sun +3. These tools allow China to multiply force effects, gather intelligence, monitor adversaries continuously, and possibly challenge more traditional military powers using asymmetric means. So what's driving all of this? Why is China building up now, and what factors appear to be pushing this shift? First, perceived external threats. China sees what it views as containment efforts by other powers, especially the United States and its allies, increasing deployments around Asia-Pacific, strengthening alliances, increasing freedom of navigation operations, arms sales to Taiwan, military cooperation with regional governments. These create a security dilemma. China responds by building its own capabilities. Second, strategic ambitions and territory. Taiwan is central. China's goal of reunification, or at least reunification under its terms, remains a core policy objective. Many of its naval, missile, and amphibious buildup seem tailored to potential Taiwan contingency. Large ships, landing barges, sea loft capacities, missile overseas strike, control of sea lanes, air power capable of blockade, etc. Also in disputed maritime claims South China Sea, East China Sea, where China has increased patrols, built artificial islands, expanded military installations. IntelliNews plus 1/3 domestic politics and legitimacy. The ruling Communist Party under Xi Jinping has often linked national strength and sovereignty to its own legitimacy, displaying strong military progress, showing China is not being outpaced, responding to nationalistic expectations, all feed domestic support. Leadership purges and reorganization, e.g., in PLA rocket force, in command structure may also reflect a drive toward tighter control, better performance, removal of corruption. Al Jazeera plus 1/4 technological maturation. China has matured in many defense tech fields: hypersonics, missile delivery, naval shipbuilding, quantum or AI enhancements. The threshold of technology that once limited China is shrinking. This makes more ambitious plans feasible. Let's examine what countries in the region and the world are saying, and how they are reacting. Australia has called on China to explain its extraordinary military buildup, describing it as perhaps the single biggest conventional military capability increase since World War II. BBC plus 1. The Philippines has criticized China's South China Sea patrols and coercive tactics as absolutely irresponsible and reckless. BBC plus 1. Japan is strengthening its own military posture, expanding its naval missions, conducting more frequent drills, acquiring new destroyers, enhancing missile detection and surveillance systems. IntelliNews plus 1. India is closely watching border infrastructure, logistics, troop posture along the sea, and continuing to invest in defensive works in sensitive border areas. The United States is increasingly alarmed, of course. U.S. intelligence and defense assessments see China's growing arsenal, ballistic missile, nuclear warhead expansion, naval force expansion, drone and AI investments as altering balance in Asia-Pacific. U.S. allies are being called to strengthen cooperation, build counter capabilities, and increase military budgets. Now, what kind of triggers or red lines might escalate tensions or lead to conflict? One trigger would be increased aggressive actions towards Taiwan, such as blockade, amphibious landings, or establishment of no-fly zones. Another would be confrontations in the South China Sea, aggressive island militarization, seizure of reefs or naval bases, clashes with other coastal states, encroachment of China's air force into neighboring countries' airspaces, missile tests that cross international waters in provocative ways, also cyber or space incident, satellite jamming, anti-satellite tests. Any miscalculation in these areas could spiral. So what are the risks? Risk of escalation, obviously. If China pushes too far, the U.S. and allied countries could respond more forcefully. Military exercises, deployments, naval posture, even arms sales to partners. That raises chance of standoffs, miscalculations, accidents, inadvertent collisions, also risk of arms race, As China builds up, others feel pressured to respond. Japan, India, Taiwan, Australia may increase their own military spending. The U.S. may increase presence, build more bases, ship more hardware. This could lead to more instability rather than deterrence. There's also economic risk. Massive military spending diverts resources. It may strain China's economy, slower growth, higher debt. Also, global markets feel any threat of conflict in Asia. Supply chain disruptions, trade rerouting, impacts on tech industries, commodity prices. Global trade and investment may suffer in risk-sensitive sectors. There's risk of internal instability or backlash too. The growing military focus might heighten expectations for policy results. If China doesn't deliver, tensions domestically may rise. Also, massive infrastructure and procurement projects tend to lead to corruption scandals, delays, cost overruns. On the flip side, what might China gain if this military buildup succeeds? Perhaps greater deterrence, being less vulnerable to external threats or encirclement. More leverage in its regional disputes, more confidence when negotiating with partners or rivals, ability to project power abroad, naval bases, overseas operations, maritime patrols, possibly a stronger voice in global geopolitics if its military can match or threaten those of other major powers. Now, even with all this buildup, there are significant constraints and weaknesses. Some observers point out that while China's hardware modernization is rapid, its combat experience in high-intensity conflict is limited. Readiness, logistical sustainment, joint operations under fire, and command and control in complex scenarios remain less tested than in Western militaries. The times of India +1 also, having more missiles, ships, or carriers is one thing. Maintaining supply lines, support infrastructure, spare parts, well-trained crews, maintenance, real-time intelligence, and sustained operations in distant waters are another. Risks of mechanical breakdowns, training gaps, etc. may hamper performance. Another constraint is diplomatic cost. If China pushes too hard or appears too aggressive, neighboring countries may drift towards U.S. alignment, build stronger security partnerships, host U.S. bases, or allow more foreign presence. That undermines China's goal of reducing foreign influence and reliance on being a regional power without rivals. International norms and responses matter too. Sanctions, treaties, international law, trade penalties. Even diplomatic isolation can raise the cost of overt aggression. Also, geographic constraints. Some areas China seeks to dominate, such as the Taiwan Strait or islands in the South China Sea, are vulnerable to counter-blockade, naval interdiction, or amphibious assault. Taiwan has defenses, and U.S. and allied navies operate in the region regularly. Any amphibious or carrier-based operation is risky. Given all this, what might be the near-term scenarios? Scenario 1, China continues building up, but balances carefully. Lots of drills, strong rhetoric, shows of strength, but avoids direct assault or open conflict. Military deterrence becomes its aim rather than war. Taiwan remains under threat but not invaded. South China Sea disputes intensify, but battles avoided. Scenario 2, escalation via limited conflict. A clash over an island, vessel collisions, missile incidents, or airspace violations. Perhaps an incident with Taiwan or between China and a rival claimant in the South China Sea. China might test responses from the U.S., Japan, Philippines, etc. If provoked, it might adopt more assertive posture. Scenario 3, full confrontation, worst case, war over Taiwan or major islands, naval battles, missile exchanges, possible involvement of U.S., Japan, Australia. High risk of regional war that could draw in global powers, nuclear dimension looms if thresholds are crossed. So, what should other countries do and what should the rest of the world watch? They should invest in readiness, surveillance, intelligence gathering. They should strengthen alliances, joint exercises, interoperability, clear communication. Diplomatic pressure should not be neglected. Demands for transparency, adherence to norms of international law, dispute mediation. Also prepare contingencies, supply chain resilience, early warning systems, defense technology like anti-ship missiles, missile defense, counter, drone systems, cyber defense. For you watching, this matters. Because in a world where China asserts more military dominance, where disputes in seas and borders escalate, your energy prices, your trade relationships, your security alliances all can shift. The ripple effects are global, from tech supply chains to shipping lanes to political alignments. So, is China preparing for war? The signs suggest China is preparing for the possibility of war. Military might is rising, infrastructure is being built, forces are being retooled and modernized. But whether that becomes war depends on many choices: political will, diplomatic maneuvering, threshold events, reactions by rivals, and accidents. This buildup could deter conflict, but it could also make miscalculations more likely. More ships in contested seas, more missile tests, more drills near foreign territories. Each action increases risk. The question we should ask: how will China use this evolving military edge? Will it primarily aim for deterrence or move toward offense? Will its neighbors feel threatened enough to align more closely with other powers? And will global norms and institutions be able to keep things from sliding into open conflict? In conclusion, what we're seeing is that China is moving fast. It's investing heavily. It's making strategic, tactical, technological moves that suggest war is one possibility among many. The world should be alert. Diplomacy, contingency planning, and clarity are more essential now than ever. Thanks for watching. Please share your thoughts. Do you think China's buildup is defensive, offensive, or somewhere in between? Do you believe conflict is avoidable? Let me know your take below. See you next time.